Fay Presto, wonderful, successful magician from London, England, said to me years ago, the magic must always be strong, but you are the effing magic. You know, your personality, you got to take those tricks and hang your personality on them. You really, really have, you know. Don't copy what you see other magicians doing in terms of pattern presentation. Make it you. Take that trick and make it you. Because at the end of the day, there's nobody like you. Everybody, you know, everybody's special in their own way, you know.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Desert Island Tricks. Now it's very exciting because today we're in the studio. So we're actually at ACCAAN HQ recording this one, which normally we don't, which means I've actually got today's guest in the room. Now, today's guest is synonymous with ACCAAN, really, because not only does he have so many incredible projects with us, but he has so many ACCAAN academies with us as well. And he's always coming back and giving us even more incredible magic. And today is no different. We've actually filmed another trick today. He is an absolute font of all knowledge when it comes to card magic. He has some incredible best-selling books. He's an absolute legend in our world. And I'm so pleased that we finally got him here. We've been trying since the very beginning of the podcast to get him here. So today's guest, of course, is the wonderful John Carey. Hello, John.
Hello, Jamie. How the hell are you?
Very good, now that we actually have you in the studio and we get to record this.
Yeah, really looking forward to this. What the guys won't know is I got down here yesterday, been here today. It's about sort of 3:45 British time here as we're doing this. Mr. Nardi Senior has managed to wrestle quite a bit of money out of my wallet, but some fantastic new products which I'm really looking forward to playing with and learning and performing with. And you guys are just great. You always make me feel so welcome. We have so much fun. And thank you for the kind introduction.
Well, it's true. The amount of, how many books have you got now?
Self-published, I think it's 12 or 13 books now.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day of DVDs, starting out with RSVP, Russ Stevens, and then ACCAAN and Big Blind Media with Owen and Liam Montier, Owen Packer, Liam probably about 20 plus DVDs, numerous academies, probably 12, 15 or more academies with ACCAAN, loads of downloads with them and Big Blind Media, Penguin, the biggest, probably one of the biggest magic companies in the world. You know, big like ACCAAN and Banishment. I've done work with them as well, downloads. And Murphy's Magic, the biggest wholesalers in the world. They flew me to Sacramento a number of years ago when I was on a East Coast lecture tour teaching magicians at their magic clubs. Those members of the public listen to this. We magicians go around and teach at magic clubs, just like maybe people who are experts at, I don't know, bridge or card games or other non-card things might teach something. You know, I'm lucky enough to have traveled all around the world, about 25, 26 countries at the last count. New Zealand, Australia, USA, all over Europe. Not bad for a boy from a rough council estate in London. 15 years ago, I was working as a ticket office salesman in a rather rough part of London, selling tickets and giving information and taking abuse when the trains were cancelled and running late. I have to pinch myself, basically. I'm lucky. Magic's given me a lovely quality of life.
Well, this is a rarity. So normally I ask the guests not to send me their lists because then it makes it a bit of a surprise for me. But I do have your list here and it is what I would sort of expect. I'm not going to give anything away because obviously we want to make this a surprise for people listening. But if I was playing John Carey Bingo, I think I would have had maybe 3 or 4 of these.
Of the 8, you asked me to.
Of the 8,
the only reason you got a list is I've been sort of running around chasing my tail before I got here yesterday to ACCAAN HQ, plus sort of getting sucked into the world of seeing the new releases. But you got them today and it's all good.
Well, these are going to be a great choice. Now, if you are going to play John Carey Bingo along with us, think about which tricks you think John would have there, especially if you have his books as well. And then maybe you too can fill in your John Carey bingo card. Now, if this is the first time you're listening to the podcast, the idea is that we're about to maroon John on his very own magical island. When he's there, he's allowed to take 8 tricks, banish 1 item, or take 1 book and 1 non-magic item that he uses for magic. Particulars, who's there, what's there, all of that good stuff. We do not mind. This island exists in John's own imagination. So with that being said, let's find out what John has put in number 1.
So then, in number 1 of the 8 books, the 8 tricks, I beg your pardon, is an effect called the Biddle Trick. It's also known as wow, and it's one of the finest impromptu, which means anytime, anywhere, regular deck of cards, borrow a pack of cards if you can do that with the public in this day and age. Back in the day growing up, when I used to perform in pubs in London to get experience, not for money, just to get experience, there were always decks there because the guys were playing games of cards. The Biddle Trick is a great trick without talking methods, because, Jamie, you don't want to be talking about methods for this, just the actual effect. It's amazing. You make a playing card vanish, but here's the conditions. The card is selected. A spectator can sign their name on it if they want. It goes back in the pack. And the magician says, I'm going to attempt to cut to your card. I think it's one of these 5 cards. And you show those 5 cards and you say to a spectator, don't tell me what your card is, but is your card amongst these 5? And they say, yeah. You say, great, but there's more. We're going to take this another step further. You put those 5 cards inside a spectator's hand. They put their other hand on top. With my presentation of it and little tweaks, you're able to do a divination, like a mind read of their card, like 2 of hearts. Keep thinking of it, say it over and over. 2 of hearts, 2 of hearts, 2 of hearts. And then, but it doesn't end there. Then you get all mysterious, Mr. Mojo, Mr. Magic. You wave your hand or say your magic word, ACCAAN or whatever. And you get the spectator to lift their hand and deal to the table or in your hand the cards. There was 5 there. There's only 4 face down cards. And then to cap it all, you get them to turn those cards over and their 2 of hearts or whatever the card was has vanished. But the trick doesn't end there. The way I like to finish a trick, I say cards are like people. At the end of the day, after a hard day's work and toil, they like to go home. Now, I look down to the deck of cards on the table. Also, what I like to do for magicians listening in, just because you can, is to, when I isolate the deck after taking the 5 cards off in the trick, I put the cards away in the box, the card box, and I give that pack to a spectator to hold. Then you can take the box from them, and there's distance, and maybe the bigger the distance between you and the box makes the effect even stronger, like the other side of a table or a bar. Then they take the cards out. You get them to spread them across the table or in their hands, or you can do it if the conditions are not conducive to that, and face up, staring everybody in the face amongst all the face down cards, is their card. Let me tell you, this trick has been in my repertoire for more years than I care to remember. Never mind tell you. I think it's one of the finest, strongest impromptu mysteries with a pack of cards that there is, and it had to be on my list. Think of all that magic you get out of it, a little bit of mind reading as well if you wish to go that route. And magicians who do this trick, you'll know exactly how to do that, because the trick allows you to do it with any extra work.
I think on ACCAAN Unlimited, you have a version of the Biddle Trick on there.
A brand new version, what we did. I think you pulled that from the Academy in March, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. So it's called Mr. Biddle Takes a Breather.
I think that was in the Academy in March, or maybe another product. But anyway, yeah, that's a streamlined handling for it, where there's a clue in the title without saying anything about the methodology. Just makes it super clean. Yeah. Super clean. But we're not going to talk methods today because you told me not to.
No, but we can talk about which one you prefer. So is there a certain handling that you favour over others?
No, I've played around with lots of variations, but I return to the original with the Mr. Biddle Takes a Breather for the technical aspect of the routine, because it makes it uber fair. Once the card is returned, you can put the pack on the table, and the spectator can cut the deck a few times as well, and yet you've still got control of their selection. When I do the Biddle Trick, because I think the trick is such a strong one with the ending where the cards go back to the box, they take the cards out of the box, I get the cards signed, which theatrically I think is good. It makes it stronger, but also, you never know, some people with short attention spans, magicians are the worst for this. They've got terrible memories for remembering a card when you perform for them, so signing it basically gives you that safety net, Jamie. I teach it to a lot of my students. I teach online when I do Zoom tuition, which I've continued since the pandemic, as well as in-person teaching if people are close enough to come to me or me to them. because they're getting, even if they're like relatively newbies or beginners it's just starting out, because they're getting a world-class piece of card magic, which would fit in any professional's repertoire. I think the trick is strong enough for TV. It's a kind of effect I'm sure David Blaine would use in a heartbeat, if it had to be impromptu and stuff. But obviously David likes to do the stuff he puts together with his team, Daniel Garcia and some of his technical guys, but it's a killer, and it's not particularly hard to do for you new magicians. Check it out.
Well, it's a great entry in at number 1.
It's a real crowd pleaser. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, that leads us to number 2. So what did you put in your second spot?
In my second spot, I put Triumph. Triumph is a classic effect, which I first come across in the work of Di Vernon, the professor. Google Di Vernon, D-A-I, and then Vernon, V-E-R-N-O-N, members of the public. Magicians, of course, he needs no introduction. In the Stars of Magic book, in my early 20s, a wonderful book of card and close-up magic with material in there, which is 95% of which is not dated. It's still bang up to date. You can perform that professionally anywhere without any problems. In effect, a card is selected, can be signed if you wish, returned to the pack, and the pack is split into 2 halves, half face up, half face down. The pack is riffle shuffled together like a Vegas poker shuffle on the table. You show a chaos of face up and face down cards, face to face, back to back, blah, blah, blah. You make your magic, and then the pack is spread face down across the table, and their selection is the only one face up in the deck. Some guys like to delay it by turning the pack face up and slowly spreading and showing all face up, and there's one face down just suddenly appears and you continue the face up spread. I've tried both ways, and both theatrically have their strong points. Triumph is a classic trick. It's an absolute killer. And there's been many versions since the Vernon original. We're going to talk about one of my favorite books later, and the slop shuffle, as it's become known, or the tipsy trick in the book I'm going to talk about later, T-I-P-S-Y, is a wonderful in-the-hands version, which I perform more than the table version, because a lot of the time you haven't got the right conditions for doing tabletop riffle shuffles. So the in-the-hands slop shuffle version, the tipsy trick, is wonderful. Google that on YouTube and online. A brilliant version. The effect is visual, face up and face down. There's chaos, and then bang, the whole pack straightens out from chaos back to order, except for their selection. That's been in my repertoire again more years than I care to remember. As long as I'm walking on this earth, I will continue to use it. I absolutely love it, and it consistently delivers amazing reactions from the public.
Well, I think it's another really great choice, and there are different versions which have come out over the year. I know John Bannon has sort of a really interesting take on it. Kostya Kimlak obviously brought out the Roadrunner Cole and had his version of it. The version that you do now, is it the slop shuffle, or do you have a preferred handling?
The slop shuffle probably 90-95% of the time. Whenever I meet people in a social situation, I use it. I don't gig at this moment, where I'm going to be making a return when I go to live and work overseas shortly. Back to professional performance bars and restaurants, where I started out years ago when I lived in London. I live out in Hertfordshire now. That's the one I consistently use. But when the conditions are right, I've used the Vernon version from the Stars of Magic with 1 or 2 little personal tweaks in the technical side of it. I've used Bannon's in the hands version, Last Man Standing. There are so many versions out there. Paul Harris had a great version years ago called Colour Stunner, where you have a card selected from a blue back deck, you shuffle face up and face down, and then the whole pack straightens out, and then the whole pack changes colour, like from blue to red. But as clever as that was, I think it muddies the waters a bit. I think the effect should be card is selected, returned, face up, face down, show the chaos, boom, bada bang, pack straightened out. There's the selection. Thank you. I'm Jamie Dawes or John Carey. I'm out of here. And people, psh, yeah. Again, for beginning students, a great trick to learn to build their repertoire and confidence, because it's not difficult to do the slop shuffle. A little bit of blatant self-promotion here. You can find me on Instagram, John Carey Magician, or you can email me, johncareymagic@gmail.com, if you're interested in lessons at an affordable price. Sorry, Jamie, but, this is what I do. Naughty, you're naughty. I'm going to delete that later, Carey.
I'm the one editing it. We'll keep that in, and it's a great point. It's a great one to start with, but it's still one that lasts the test of time. It's one that so many people do daily. Yeah.
Biddle Trick, slop shuffle, Triumph. Yeah, not dated in any way, shape or form.
Yep, absolutely. Well, it's a great choice in at number 2 and leads us nicely into a number 3. So what's in your third spot?
Cards Across, classical trick. Many versions of this in print and on videos and downloads and Lord knows what. I learnt my version from the book I'm going to talk about later as a young man. And many ways of doing it, some with selected cards. I just do the version I learned from the book I'm going to talk about later. A fantastic book. In effect, a spectator can, in this version from the book I'm going to talk about, can cut off a pack, shuffle the deck, cut off a packet of cards, somewhere between 10 and 20 cards, and count them on the table out loud, face down. Let's just say there's 15, and that spectator can hold that packet between their hands, 15 cards in this example. Now you make mystical gestures over the deck, or snap your fingers, or riffle the rest of the cards towards their hands. They're holding those 15 cards, remember, between their hands. And you say, I'm going to make 3 cards magically and mysteriously pass to your hand. And remember, you counted and dealt them, right? Yeah. And they lift up their hand after you do your magical mojo. They deal and count them out loud onto the table, and 3 cards have gone across. There was 15, and now there's 18. And the beautiful thing about this, it doesn't mention it in the book, because the book was many years ago. I'm going to talk about and I'm teaching you about at the moment. A lot of you magicians will know what it is by now, but the public maybe not. You can do a repeat. You can say, okay, square them up, give them to your wife, or give them to your partner, your girlfriend, whatever. We're going to do that again with you, and you can do a beautiful repeat, add in 3 cards. You say, or actually, we'll take it a step further. We'll make 5 cards go across. Absolutely love it, because there's no selection. Spectators don't have to remember playing cards, because you know what it's like working professionally, Jamie, attention spans and distractions in real world ambient noise and situations. There's other versions where 2 spectators are involved that stage workers use. You could use in close-up, where each spectator gets 10 cards each, and you make 3 go from one packet of 10 to another. So then after the magic, there's only 7 in one person's hand and 13 in the other. That's another way. Nothing wrong with that. I just prefer the version from the book I'm going to tell you about later. Nothing to add on that. Again, a great trick to show somebody just starting out with cards to build them confidence. Also, the method in the teaser book, as it's known at the moment, which I'll tell you about in a while, the method gives you absolute confidence in doing the technical, one little technical thing, because the cover for this is built into the trick. The misdirection or the shade or the, I don't know, direction, attention or whatever, Yeah.
Well, I think it's one of the rare card tricks as well where it plays just as well in a parlor or stage performance than close up. And I'm not talking about a card trick which is adapted to be good on stage. It is verbatim as good on stage as it is close up.
Absolutely. I mean, you could maybe would quite easily use this if you were doing a parlor show for 60, 80, 90 people, as you would maybe a group of 5 or 6 people in a restaurant. Obviously, you might tweak the presentation accordingly, because you're working a bigger venue and a smaller venue. But methodologically speaking, why not? And you don't have the compromise between big and small, like you say. Because sometimes some people try to make close-up tricks into stage tricks, and it doesn't always work. It doesn't always travel across well. Whereas with this version, it does. As I mentioned at the beginning, there are versions out there. Just again, type in cards across on YouTube or Google, involving selections that go across. I want this to be just the quantity, the visual aspect of 3 cards going across, and with the kicker where you can make another 3 or 5 cards go across. That's enough. Cards are translocating, teleporting, call it what you will, from one place to another. The effect can be described. Yeah, I dealt 15 cards down on the table, covered in my hands, and then this geezer called Jamie, he made 3 cards fly across. I counted them, they're 18. Then he gave them to my missus, and he made another 3 cards go across to her hand. I had no idea. I mean, they can describe the effect in 1 or 2 sentences. And it's true, that is the effect. You can tell I'm passionate about this shit, can't you?
Yeah, well, it's such a great trick. And, I think what's interesting about this one in terms of looking at your list as a whole, and I know people listening at this point don't have a whole idea of what you're about to say, but it's the only one where the cards are inconsequential to the routine, because the cards are being used as a prop in their own right, as opposed to being selections.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with the characteristics of the cards in terms of the colours of the back or the suits or the values or numbers. They've been used as objects. I mean, you could quite easily with this have a big pouch of coins and tip out 10 coins onto the table if you don't want to do a card trick. Just thinking on the fly, and you say to the spectator, "Would you pick those up and count those 10p pieces or quarters or whatever that currency, all the same denomination down the table? How many? 10. Not one more, not one less. 10. You counted them, yeah. Hold them in your hand." And then you could say, maybe say, in my pocket, I've got 3 other coins. This makes it a different trick. You can then make those 3 coins using magician's methods vanish either altogether or one at a time, and then have 3 coins travel across into the spectator's hand. So when they count those 10p's or quarters or euros, there's now 13. I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but there's nothing inherently wrong with that. And magicians who've got a knowledge of sleights and stuff, you can easily work out a way of doing that. Or you could say, if you haven't got 3, I've got 3 invisible coins. Here's one. I'm going to fly that across to your 10. There's another. Oh, do you reach out and you can get the spectator involved to pantomime it and throw that across. How many did you count? 10. But we played a game of imagination with 3 invisible coins. 10 plus 3 is? That's the answer. Count them. Boom.
You mentioned coins. I've seen it done with notes before, but even slices of cheese I've seen performed.
As you do.
As you do.
Yeah,
why not?
You could do it with cheese, and you could say, over here I've got 3 little squares of cheese, and you could eat each cheese and go, not literally, you eat them, and then they open their hands, and now there's 3. Anyway, should we wrap this one up?
Well, let's move on to a number 4. So what did you put in your 4th spot?
ACAN, which is an acronym for any card at any number. Many, many versions of this. Jamie, who does a lot more mentalism than me, will know that mentalist magicians are obsessed with this effect. It's almost like but they're all looking for the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail means by like what the late great David Berglas used to do. You know, a card was named, a card was named, say the 6 of diamonds, a number from 1 to 52 was named, say 24, and then the cards would be dealt down and there's that card. Commonly known as the Berglas effect, Berglas for you people who are not magicians who'd like to do a little bit of online research. Yeah, but they're all looking for the Holy Grail. I'm not at liberty to talk about Mr. Berglas's strategies and methodologies. However, there is compromise. It's not always the same in terms of David's thing. You have to. I want to be a bit subtle here because I don't talk about methods. But there's card at any number. I got versions where a card is physically taken, put back in the pack. I say to a spectator, you're going to do some dealing, so I don't need to be here all day. Give me a number from 10 to 20. 15? Count the cards. Bang, there's the card. Is it as strong as Mr. Berglas's any card named any number? Maybe not. But it's still a card at any number. It's not a holy grail is what a lot of magicians refer to, but I like the idea of, a card is selected or named, a number is named, and whatever method you're going to use. Why I like it is because it's a creative springboard. I've got so many unpublished methods, and I'm always thinking about the idea of the plot. But what I try to do is do it without slides if possible, just as a challenge, really, without moves and magician's moves, just using strategy and stuff and some sneaky stuff, yeah.
Well, there's so many versions of it, and we mentioned, or you just mentioned, any card at any number, but there's also card at prediction. So when we think about the Grail, which is probably one of my favourite versions of this plot,
which is something ACCAAN and Peter Nardi put out some time ago, and they've really ramped it up recently with the sort of updated version and bonus handlings. Mike Rose's The Grail, which Peter has taken to another level with his impromptu handling, which is he fooled me badly with. Is absolutely outstanding. Yes, you have to buy something to do it from ACCAANmagic.co.uk. See, I said I'd do no more plugs, but I'm plugging for ACCAAN, I think that Nardi should give me even more discount on the merch I bought the last 2 days. It's wonderful. I remember when Peter first did it for me at Blackpool when the original version was launched X number of years ago, and it fooled the blah blah out of me, fooled the bejabbers out of me. It's so clean. And then a couple of years later, I saw Andy, the customer services manager for ACCAAN, perform it in the shop. And I've forgotten how strong it is. Is it hard to do? No, it's not hard to do. If you guys are magicians are finding your way, check it out. The Grail, Grail, beautiful effect. Peter's impromptu handling with the new Grail is amazing, and all the bonus add-ons you get is just incredible. I think it's one of the best packaged versions of that. In other words, something you've got to buy to be able to do. So check out ACCAAN for that as well.
Well, I think ACAN is a great shout. Now, if you were teaching one of your students and they wanted to get into ACAN, where would you recommend them to start?
Start with the risk of being whatever the word is, I can't find them. Maybe something simple of mine, where a card is named in a face-up spread, and say the 6 of diamonds, the pack is closed up, and in effect, the pack is given a shuffle. And then you say numbers play an important role in our lives. This is my basic presentation. Your door number, your car registration number, your bank code number, your lottery numbers, etc. You're going to do some dealing in a moment, and we're going to play a little ritual. And the people say, okay, so we're not here all day. Give me a number between 10 and 20. And they say 14. You want to change your mind? Yeah, 17. You happy? Yeah. And you get the spectator, say, now we're going to start the ritual. And I've got some funny business for the hands where I hold my right hand, palm up, they do that, palm down. And then we bring the hands up vertically and we go palm to palm and slap each. Just a bit of fun. So the ritual started. You say, and what did they say? They changed to 17, for example. Now the ritual, firstly, you're going to deal 17 cards face down to the table. That's the first part of the ritual. Now remember, if you just said a different number, we'd have had there would be different cards here because there'd be less or more. Now we're going to use numerology, which is a pseudoscience or like a fortune-telling device to tell about people's personality traits and like fortune-telling and stuff. The number 17, we break it down, is a 1 to 7. So when you deal 1 card, pick up that packet of 17, deal 1, now deal 7. You could have said any number, you named any card, you shuffled that pack, and they can in this method. What was your card? 6 of diamonds or whatever. Turn over that card on the table, and there it is. No, it's not a Burglass Holy Grail, but it's a very, very practical method. And I've got some interesting presentation, which I'm going to keep to myself for the time being before I kind of put it out there with variations to do numerology and fortune telling and stuff. And it's very, very easy to do. It's not a Holy Grail. It's not any card at any number, but it is a genuinely named card from a spectator shuffle pack at any number. Not any number, because you say you're going to do some dealing. I don't want you to be here all day. Let's make it between 10 and 20. Other versions, though, mechanical versions, Peter's Grail we talked about. Mike Rose released it with Peter years ago, and Peter's upgraded it and souped it up with ACCAAN, that version. Other versions, Brent Braun's got a version I can't remember the name of, which comes with a mechanical deck. That's worth checking out. Can't remember the name of it. That's about it, really, Jay.
Okay, well, there we go. And it leads us very nicely into number 5.
Number 5 is a classic, an absolute classic. It's called the Ambitious card. The Ambitious card, in effect, a card is selected and signed, it's returned to the pack, and it jumps to the top of the pack. Use whatever presentation you want, and then you can repeat that over and over and over again. Too many magicians do too many phases, in my opinion. I think 3 minimum, 5 maximum is enough. And the effect should get stronger and stronger and stronger. It should build. As soon as the effect starts to plateau, level off, or God forbid, dip in terms of reaction, then you've got a problem. That's why it shouldn't be too many phases. And it's great because you can jazz it as well. What I mean by that, magicians who've got lots of techniques and concepts can use different moves and sleight of hand techniques. And it's like a Chinese menu almost. You can pick one from there and one from there. My Ambitious card is never the same, Jamie. I always jazz it, and the finish is different. The finish must always be the strongest point. Obviously, like theatrically, like in any piece of magic or mentalism. What's great is, though, it's never the same. It starts out the same. The card is selected and signed. I've got about 9 or 10 different finishes for it in terms of, like, visual finishes, impossible finishes where it's all hands off, where the spectator's mixing the cards apparently, and yet the card still ends up on top. The classic version where you bend the card, short ends, you bend it and bow it, you put that card in the middle. David Blaine made a sensation this years ago. It's not his, it's by a guy called Frederick Brow. He was in expert card technique donkeys years ago, and the card visibly pops up on top. You turn it over and there's a signed card. Some magicians like to go to the wallet, don't they, Jamie? The signed selection card goes to the wallet. I don't think that's so great. I think the card to wallet, a signed card vanishing from the pack and appearing in the wallet, is a one and done. Just my personal opinion. We're all got opinions. The ambitious card is about that card coming to the top. There are exceptions to that. The late great Tommy Wonder, one of my idols and heroes, he used to place a little brown box on the table. He said, I've got a little surprise for you. And he put that box on the table, little wooden, like a ring box. And he'd do his routine with some wonderful moments of magic and comedy. And then at the end, the signed card ended up in the box on the table. I think that's better. Even though you're going to an object like the wallet, the box is on the table at the beginning. It's like a mystery object, yeah? Whereas the card to the wallet, you have to usually, with most versions anyway, have the wallet in your pocket and bring it out. But I don't want to carry on waxing on about that. It's just my opinion. But Tommy's routine is one of the finest routines. Never mind the finish, which a lot of magicians will know the method for. Check out Tommy Wonder. Tommy, the name Wonder, as in wonder, on YouTube. Tommy Wonder, ambitious card. It'll be one of the best 6 minutes you'll invest, magically speaking, in your life. I've watched that video so many times. It just inspires me. Whenever I get a bit jaded, I watch Tommy. Just do Tommy Wonder in general magic, but Tommy Wonder ambitious card. And like I say, the effect must build. There's so many, once you've got knowledge of different sleights and moves and stuff, there's so many ways to do it, which makes it interesting, like a piece of jazz music, Jamie on piano or guitar or whatever, yeah?
Well, it would be a shame for it not to be in your list, considering that you're such a prolific card creator. The only question I have really is that you mentioned that you have several different endings. Do you have a preferred ending to yours?
No, I don't, honestly. I'll use that pop-up card, which is not mine. I'll use a hands-off version where the spectator can shuffle the deck prior to the finish, and they can turn over the top card. And I'm not compromising there. They give the pack a shuffle on the table, and the card ends up on top. And there's other versions. I've got another version where a small number is named, and I can make that card appear. I say, it keeps coming to the top, but let's make it a smaller number. Give me a small number. And they say 4. They count down 4, and there's the card. So it can appear anywhere I want on command. Lots of different versions, too many to mention, but it's fun. And what I like is it's never the same, never the same.
Hey guys, Harry here from ACCAAN Magic. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. I'm just here to interrupt and tell you a little bit about the ACCAAN Magic Convention. It has taken us 35 years to get to this date. However, May the 9th, 2026 will be the very first ACCAAN Magic Convention. Now, I know you guys are super excited, maybe just as excited as we are. First of all, the venue is a 37-minute direct train from central London. The venue is then literally a 10-minute walk from the train station. There's hotels within a stone's throw, there's restaurants nearby, and there's incredible food and drink on site. That's all without even getting into the magic side of things. We are going to have 4 incredible lecturers performing throughout the day, including one person who's going to be flying over to the very first UK lecture. We are buzzing to announce who those 4 are. Not only that, there'll be dealers on site and a place for you guys to jam and session and meet new friends. Where are the lectures going to be held? This is my personal favourite bit about the ACCAAN convention. They're going to be happening in one of the cinema screens. That means fully tiered seating, comfy seats, a drinks holder, and there will be a close-up camera on the jumbo cinema screen that will be giving you close-ups of all the little nuances that you're going to need to see when the lecturers are performing. There will of course be a full gala show to end the evening off. You guys are not going to want to miss it. The great thing is as well, on the Sunday, the day after, ACCAAN Magic Shop, which is a 2-minute drive, will be open. So if you're heading down to the convention, why not stay overnight and come and visit our magic shop? Remember, May the 9th, 2026. Tickets on sale now at alakazam.co.uk. See you guys soon.
Yep, well, I think that's a great entry in at number 5 and leads us to number 6. So what's in your 6th spot?
Number 6 is think a card. A spectator, you show a spectator a deck of cards, you show the faces of those cards, they think of one. You tell them what it is, or you locate it, or you make it appear in your pocket, or whatever you want to do. The first person I saw do this kind of work was the late Joe Riding. Joe Riding was a wonderful magician. cabaret and close-up magician from Lancashire, Blackpool, up that way. I saw him for many years at the Blackpool Convention. A lovely, big northern guy, big cuddly teddy bear of a guy. And he was always entertaining at the bar at the convention, during the day, or when when all the dealers shows and the dealer demonstrations, everything finished and people were having drinks. And I always remember Joe Durham. He said, I can't do a Lancashire accent, but essentially we go, lovely to see you, John. How's it going? How's the magic going? Yeah, I'll tell you what, just think of one. You got one? Yeah. And he would get it time and time again. And it really hit me hard. And then later on, I didn't go to Blackpool for a number of years, go to a restaurant a few years during my youth and into my 20s. And I went up to Blackpool a couple of days before the convention and went to the man, the myth and legend, Mr. Mark Mason's magic shop he had then. This was one of his first shops. He then moved to another premises. I didn't know that Mark and Joe were great friends, and Mark did essentially the riding method, which I'm not going to talk about, obviously, because we're not talking methods on me, John, you can see these cards. Yeah, just look at one. Just remember one. You got one, you're thinking of one. And he would do it. And he'd do it again, and he'd do it again. And sometimes he'd say, what was your card? 6 of clubs. Oh, really? He said, yeah. Oh, this is not a full pack, John. You couldn't have seen the 6 of clubs. I said, why? He said, I've got one card in my pocket I put here before I come here today to work at the shop. And he'd show the card. And all sorts of crazy stuff. And the great thing here is, Jamie, I don't need to tell you as an experienced magician and mentalist and performer and creator, for the public, what makes it stronger, I think, is that they're actually thinking of a card. They're not saying it out loud. They're not writing it down, physically taking it or stopping at a card. They're thinking of a card. And there's lots of work out there. Some of the strongest work in modern times is by my great friend, Danny Ortiz from Estepona, and they're met in the region of Malaga in Spain. Danny's got some incredible work. If you go on Grupo Caps or the Ortiz World subscription services, just type in again, good old Google, but YouTube, Danny.Ortiz. Just look at anything of Danny Ortiz. If you want inspiration, magicians, and the public, you just want to watch stuff which is going to just blah your mind. But yeah, thought of card. I don't really have work on it, really. I've got effects which create the impression of a fourth card, but in terms of, I pretty much do the riding method, which Mark Mason, and then later on Harry Robson and Matthew Wright, who are all based up in that region, Lancashire, Burnley and Preston up that way. Joe was their kind of mentor growing up, and it's interesting to see him, and Harry passed on the baton to Matthew, because they're great friends, and showed Matthew when he was younger, and Matthew's created a reputation. He is a real reputation maker. If you're not doing Think a Card, a great mechanical version, and I'm going to get accused of shilling for my mate Peter Nardi here at ACCAAN, is his Limitless deck. That creates a beautiful Think of a Card. Limitless ACCAAN magic. End of plug. 2 plugs for Nardi, 2 for me. End of plugs today, yeah?
When we think about that, so number one, I think when someone says think of a card, I think it's one of the strongest things that you can do to someone.
Yeah.
As opposed to see a card.
Yeah.
Just think a card is amazing. And I know that...
It's the invisible pack, obviously, in the Brainwave deck, I should have mentioned. You can do that, mechanical options. The invisible deck is... Any card is named. The pack can be on the table at the beginning in full view without compromise. You say the 5 of spades. Before I came here today, look, all these cards are face up, but I turn one card over face down. And that is the card. And I'm not leaving anything out there, Jamie. If you or I perform this for the public, that's exactly what they see and experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know Leo Smetzers has a brilliant one that Harry does incredibly well.
What's that called?
I don't know if it has a name, but it's on his lecture, which is on Unlimited. And one of my favourite versions is by Alan Kronzek. It's called Think of One.
That's a great version, yeah. And John Bannon's got a variation on that called AK-47. And Alan's version before Bannon's AK-47 inspired my versions, Think and Sync, which were in Minimalistica and 1 or 2 of my further volumes after Minimalistica books I'm talking about. An interesting way of going down the route of combining the physical action by the spectator with a mental action. All inspired by Kronzak, though. And then Bannon, I have Think and Sync, and then Bannon put out AK-47. Yeah, great fun.
Yeah, they're both good. Well, that brings us into the tail end of your 8 with number 7. So what did you put in your 7th spot?
The dancing cane. No, I'm joking. A 1 coin routine, a non-card item. A 1 coin routine for members of the public is you magically produce a coin, like a dollar coin, a big coin or whatever, or you just bring it out of your pocket or whatever you, And that coin vanishes and reappears, jumps up your arm, appears behind your elbow, and then sometimes grows bigger at the end into a big jumbo-sized coin. I've chose this because this was a bread and butter trick for me when I used to do corporate work in London, when I lived in London many years ago, doing cocktails, pre-dinner drinks, walking around for 45 minutes to an hour before the guests of that company at their party or what have you sat down at that posh hotel. And it was great because the people were holding champagne and canapes. They don't want to be picking out cards and things, so you need something visual. And I'd go up and sort of say, "Hi, everybody, my name's John, and one of the magicians here this evening, but don't worry, it's nothing illegal. I do magic." Some people call it a job. Some people call it sleight of hand. I call it a job, which is lines I kind of learned from a Jay Sankey article in Magical Arts Journal, a magazine for magicians years ago. I don't say, by the way, to magicians, this is advice for magicians starting out, would you like to see some magic? Because that gives them the chance to say no. Before they know it, I magically produce a coin using a sleight of hand technique. And then there's 5 or 6 moments where the coin vanishes in different ways, reappears. And at the end, I use the late great David Roth's finish. David Roth was a wonderful coin magician for you members of the public who sadly left us, in the last 2-3 years, I would say 18 months to 2 years ago. A legend, the maestro, and probably the finest coin manipulator of all time. Guy Vernon said that, the professor, where you make the $50, which is like a 50p or £2 size coin in the UK, change into a big jumbo 3 or 5-inch replica of that coin. Why? Like I say, it was visual, eye candy. Other people were around the venue, can see things happening. It's got it's got visibility and motion. It's colourful, and you've got that finish as well at the end. That was really an old faithful, And the great thing is, I can do that routine anywhere in the world. I've got a coin of a decent size, and I can always do an effect. One thing that really kind of cheeses me off, which an English saying for you foreign guys, kind of makes me a little bit mad, is magicians say, "Oh, I've got nothing with me." Well, you've got your knowledge. If you can vanish a coin a few ways and stuff, if you haven't got your pack of cards or your special magical gizmos and apparatus, no problem. Just do something with a coin, vanish it a few times. Pulling a coin out from behind somebody's ear for the public is amazing. We get blasé as magicians about this, but you should always be out of work, which is why I think mentalism, which I know you absolutely love, and I love mentalism. In the last few years, I've started to purchase and invest in various books and tutorials, video and physical, like books and manuscripts. Just a few scraps of paper, you can blow minds without, no pun intended, right, Jay? So you should always be out of work, yeah? The one coin routine, though, great, because you can do it anywhere professionally. If you haven't got the big coin for the finish, what I used to do sometimes is change it all. I would show say I'm working in England, a 50p piece, put it in my right hand, put it in my left hand. I say, "Have you heard of a fruit machine, yeah?" And I would snap my fingers and open my hand. There's like about £10 worth of loose change in there, and I'd tip it on the table or the bar. So it was like a slot machine type finish for our American friends, yeah? Or I would change it into a banknote. I would change it into a folded up £20 note or something, unfold that note and say, "That's how you make money." Put that note away and I'm done. Anyway, that's literally all I can say on that. Anytime, anywhere magic, professionally or socially.
And I guess it's almost like the coin equivalent of the ambitious card, right? Because it can be just jazzed. And each time it'll be completely different.
Yeah, absolutely, Jamie. It's never the same. Chinese menu. One from here, one from there, one from everywhere. Again, though, like the ambitious card, and again, some magicians, I think they get carried away with their enthusiasm. Nothing wrong with that. Not too many phases. And again, it must build. It mustn't plateau or dip. If it starts plateauing or, God forbid, dipping, then you've got a problem. Less is more, it really is, 3 or 4 phases of an ambitious or a one-coin routine is enough most of the time. 5 tops, I've seen some incredibly talented performers from overseas online and Instagram and YouTube. But it's after a while, you've got to be careful, because otherwise it becomes a game of like, where's the coin, or guess the coin, or find the coin. And that's not magic.
Well, I think that's a great one in at number 7, and leads us to your final choice. So what's in at number 8?
Cards for impossible location. I alluded to Tommy Wonder earlier with a signed folded card in the box at the end of his ambitious card routine, or a card to a wallet, or a card to a piece of fruit. If you work stand-up, I've seen guys do a card to an orange before, which is incredible. It's a real head blah blah for a layman to see a signed playing card appear inside an impossible location. A piece of fruit, a box, a wallet. There's other things where it appears inside something that's bound up with rubber bands or whatever, and it's completely impossible. It's not the kind of card trick a member of the public would expect to see. It's different from the kind of trick which everybody started out with, which was their Uncle Bob's 3 piles of 7, the 21 card trick, yeah? This is a signed selection, or sometimes not signed, but a selection appearing in an impossible location. And it's fantastic. So many methods. I haven't got any original work on it, but it's great.
Is Tommy Wonders your favourite version of this plot then, or do you have a preferred version?
No, probably that version is probably my favourite. Years ago, I used to own it before Tommy published his method on a set of videos with L&L Publishing in America. I used to use John Kennedy's mystery box, where a folded signed card would end up in a rather lovely little brown box, wooden box. That for many years was a go-to. Another impossible location, which is funny as well, a classic, it's not for everywhere and everybody, is card in mouth. I used to use that in the pub back in the day when I got my flight time, learning, not for money, just for experience in my teens, where a signed card or a selected card ends up folded up in your mouth. You can't find, you try to cut through it a couple of times, it's not there, and then whoop, and then suddenly a folded card appears between your teeth. You take it out, you unfold it, and there's the card. Strong magic and funny as you know what. Really, really funny. Lots of other methods. Mentioned earlier, Peter's Limitless deck, a mechanical deck. If you use that in conjunction with having a thought of card appear in an impossible location without giving any methodology away. Right, Jamie?
Yeah, well, I think they're all great, and Card to Impossible Location is something that I think everyone should do a version of. Yeah. But just going back over your list, so we started with the Biddle Trick to Triumph, Cards Across, ACAAN, Ambitious Card, Thinker Card, the only non-card trick that we've got in here, which was the 1 coin routine, and Card to Impossible Location. Now, the only thing on my John Carey bingo that wasn't there was some sort of dice trick. I did have that maybe you would do a dice trick because you're so well known now for doing some incredible tricks with dice.
Yeah, I had dice telepathy and 1 or 2 other things, but I was limited to 8. And by the way, with Card to Impossible Location, if you twist those, if you take 1 or 2 of those words around, actually just use the last 2 words, impossible location, that's one of my all-time favorites. And there's various versions where it's not a card vanishing from the deck, it's a card which is selected in the cleanest possible way by a spectator. It's all hands off. The magician, mentalist, never touches the pack, and yet you're able to pick up the deck, spread through and locate it or produce it, where the conditions are so strong. We never touch the cards. You know, I cut to a card, I put it back, I cut the cards and I cut the cards again. He told me to deal a few cards and then he found my card. Impossible location, I would tag on to Card to Impossible Location. Not as a commercial trick for you guys going out there working tables where time is important. You've got to cover X amount of tables and ground in an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever you've got. But for the right people and the right time, that is a killer. And also another one, this is naughty, but I'm going to add it on because it'd be remiss of me not to, because I forgot to put it on my list, is the trick that cannot be explained, which is a Di Vernon thing, Stuart James as well, 2 legends, which is never the same. And this is all it's like an impossible prediction of a card from a regular deck which you can borrow. And the trick is not physical sleight of hand, it's strategy and manipulating the spectators rather than the cards. It's never the same. But we haven't got time to really go into that. The trick that cannot be explained, though, is an absolute all-time favourite. I've given you 10 there. I've been naughty, Mr. Dawes, but I wanted to put it on. Hey, it's my pod.
Agreed. Well, we've given you 8 tricks, but you're only allowed 1 each of these. So I want you to imagine that you're about to dig a big sandy hole on your island. You're going to throw one thing inside it, and then you're going to bury it to never be seen again. What did you banish?
The Chinese sticks was what comes to mind. I hate the bloody thing. You know, I've seen comedy performers do it and it's funny. You know, if you members of the public who don't know what it is, or you bring out like 2 bamboo sticks or 2 magic wands, black wands with white tips, and they've got tassels on them, and you hold them and you pull one tassel down. I'm trying to describe it actually because I haven't seen it for ages. One tassel moves as the other one goes back and all this kind of stuff, and you cross them over and it still works. You do it above your head. And yeah, if you're a naturally funny person, it can, like a comedian or a comedy guy or a lady, it can be funny, but there's no magic in that. The version where there was magic, which I loved, was the late great Ali Bongo's pom-pom prayer sticks, where there's pom-poms. And at the end, you break this big tube open. It was like a big, long tube. It wasn't 2 sticks. And you've got coloured pom-poms at each end. And when you pull one down, the other one goes up and vice versa. And then when you pull it apart, like the big, long tube into 2 small tubes, you pull it apart, and I believe everything can be looked at if you wanted it. But it's a stage piece anyway. Why would people want to look at it? That's better. But the Chinese sticks... that can get buried forever, and a few other things as well, but that'll do for today. I just don't see the magic in it.
Okay, well, there you go. I wonder if anyone will find... And, well, Leo Smetzers has got sort of a version that makes a bit more sense. But I wonder if someone will find a way to make a prop that makes sense. So the trick is the same trick, but the prop makes sense in the real world.
Possibly. I won't, because I don't want to waste time on thinking about that blah blah trick, you know.
Okay, well, that's buried, gone forever.
Do you want to hear a groaner of a joke? Because, you know, I just like, I like a groaner of a joke sometimes. The past, the present, and the future, walking to a pub in London. It was intense.
So we've got your book. What did you put in your book position?
The Royal Road to Card Magic. Jean-Hugard Frederick Brau. I bought this in 1986 after witnessing the late great Kevin Ray, who became my teacher, performing on the International Close-Up Gala the night before. I was only 16 years of age. Then after the show, I went to see him, and he was working with Mike O'Brien, a great British stand-up and close-up worker from England, and the late great Aldo Colombini from Italy, who later relocated and became an American citizen. Went up to Kevin afterwards after seeing the most amazing magic. He did the 3 cups and balls trick. He did the Triumph trick I mentioned earlier, the Vernon one, essentially with some technical embellishments. And he did Al Schneider's Matrix, which for the layman is 4 coins for like $4 or $4.50. I put in a square, they're each covered with a playing card, and all 4 coins assemble. And it just blew my mind, because I was just buying little novelties from a company called Supreme Magic by mail order. So there was no internet, and I'm 57 and I'm getting on, you know. And I went up to him, and he was so gracious, so humble, and that's how Kevin was. We lost him way too soon. He became my teacher. The next morning, though, after that IBM convention, we'd arranged to meet at Magic Books by Post, because, ladies and gentlemen in the public, we have trade fairs for magicians to buy books and tricks and videos and apparatus, playing cards and whatnot. And I met him for a coffee, and we went over to a company called Magic Books by Post, and it had a huge triple-sized stand. And he asked Betty and Donald Wallace, the proprietors, to pass me over that orange hardbound book with the orange dust jacket. It was called The Royal Road to Card Magic. That book changed my life. I don't think I'd be doing magic now today if I didn't get that book from Kevin. And what we did, we exchanged home telephone numbers, because, again, this was an era where there was no cell or smartphones, mobile phones for us Brits. And I had the honour of every 2 to 3 weeks meeting up with Kevin. And he said to me, just 1 chapter at a time, because the beauty of that book, each chapter teaches you a concept, and it gives you 3 or 4 tricks to learn. So it's a perfect book for a newbie or beginner magician or magician. And Kevin said, don't jump to chapter 2, work hard. Chapter 1 was overhand shuffles and magic tricks with the over, just the shuffle in your hand, which, you know, you can do tricks with. Learn how to shuffle the cards nice and neatly, learn how to spread them, learn how to cut them, and learn those 3 tricks. And I met him and went through it. He praised me on 1 or 2 things. He gave me some critique on 1 or 2 other things. And this was a man who was the first British magician to have the honour of being booked for the late great Paul Daniels magic show in England, which back in the day, before all the satellite and cable companies, consistently used to reach 19, 20 million viewers prime time on a Saturday night on the BBC in England. Kevin was a 3-time winner of the Ron Macmillan International Close-Up Magic Competition, which was akin in standard back in the day to FISM, which is the World Championship of Magic. The standard was that high. Many people who won Ron Macmillan's International Close-Up Magic Competition, including Lennart Green and others, went on to win FISM in card and close-up magic. So to have somebody like him, with his dedication and focus, instill discipline and focus in this chunky little 4-eyed kid from North London, it was emotional thinking about it. It was truly was a pleasure and an honour. He was a brother from another mother, Jay. I miss him. A little emotional moment there, because so many lovely memories. My late mum and dad used to love him. He stayed with us a few times when he was finding life tough, paying the bills and stuff. I used to sleep on the sofa and let him have my bedroom. You know, God bless you, Kev. Love you.
Well, that's a great choice. And I'm sure a lot of us worked out which one you were going to put in there because it's just such a phenomenal book. But it does lead us very sadly to your last thing. So what's your non-magic item that you use for magic?
My crazy personality. I don't use external apparatus with tricks. In this day and age, magicians are always banging on about EDCs, which for members of the public is everyday carries. And the most important everyday carry is not the tricks. The tricks must always be strong. But you are the magic. Carry yourself, the personality. Non-magic things I use for magic. I can't really give you a definitive answer there, Jamie. Because there's nothing like, I don't use a magic. I don't use an object from the household with my magic. So I can't. That was one I was struggling with when I was thinking about it at the hotel this morning before I came down to ACCAAN to see you and Peter and the guys today. Sorry.
No, we can give you personality. It's your list, so it's your...
Yeah, because Faye Presto, wonderful, successful magician from London, England, said to me years ago, the magic must always be strong, but you are the effing magic. Your personality. You've got to take those tricks and hang your personality on them, You really, really have, and don't copy what you see other magicians doing in terms of pattern presentation. Make it you. Take that trick and make it you. Because at the end of the day, there's nobody like you. Everybody, everybody's special in their own way,
Well, we'll give you that. We'll give you personality. So
hopefully I've given you value in my other answers with the other topics.
You have 100%. So let's go back over your list one last time. We have Biddle Trick, Triumph, Cards Across, ACAN, Ambitious Card, Thinker Card, One Coin Routine, Card to Impossible Location. Your Banishment was the Chinese Sticks. Your book was the Royal Road to Card Magic. And your item was Personality. What a great card set.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah. If you'd have asked me for like 20 effects, I could have probably filled that up and it would have been more non-card. But it was nice to actually box me in on 8, even though I got a bit cheeky at the end with, as well as card to impossible location, an impossible location of a card where the conditions make the trick, where they shuffle, they cut, you look away, and yet you're able to read their mind apparently and name their card or physically take it out of the pack and the trick that cannot be explained, an impossible prediction. A pack of spectator shuffles, members of the public. Imagine this scenario. This is how this can pan out. They shuffle a regular deck, which could be their deck, yeah? You take the pack back and you say, there's power in the name, Mary, isn't there? We haven't met before today, have we, Mary? No. I've got a prediction here. I carry it in my pocket or my wallet, and you put a face-down card from a different coloured pack on the table. And you say, yeah, there's a power in the name. I want you to remember this. They're your cards, yeah? Yeah. You shuffled that pack, yeah? And I've just said 2 or 3 times there's power in a name. Well, we're going to make a spell, like a magic spell, but using your name. Deal the cards, pick up the deck and spell your name, dealing 1 card at a time for your name. M-A-R-Y. Hold that card, don't turn it over yet. This is my card. This card goes with me everywhere, like my credit card. I guess you could call it a lucky card or a mystery card. Mine is a 2 of hearts. What card is yours? 2 of hearts, and I guess 2 hearts really do beat as 1. Bang, and you've got an impossible prediction. Or, Jamie, the thing. I could do a talk about that effect. Maybe I will with Peter and you guys one day where we talk about that effect. Actually, I did a download with ACCAAN. You guys, one last plug for Carey, but also for ACCAAN at the same time, called Who Says? ? My work on the trick cannot be explained. Worth checking out, guys, and not very expensive. $8.99 from ACCAAN. It's also unlimited, I think, maybe. If it's not, put it on there if you want, Jay, with my blessing. With Peter's blessing as well. But anyway, yeah, so that's it.
Well, it's a great, great list. Now, if people want to find out more about you, where you're going to be, your books, your projects, all of that good stuff, where can they go?
Instagram, John Carey Magician. Lots of videos on there if you do enjoy. You'll see some stuff from products. I've recently deleted my Facebook app for personal reasons. I just need some space and time away from that. It was taking up too much of my time. johncareymagic@gmail.com if you've got questions. Facebook Messenger I've still got. John Carey, Facebook Messenger. But if there's anybody interested in like Zoom lessons and stuff like that, Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger are good places. Or my email, johncareymagic@gmail.com.
Amazing. Well, there you go. Thank you so much, John, for jumping on this.
It's an absolute pleasure. And I just want to say what I say at all of my lectures for the last 5 or 6 years around the world. Something that Michael Murray, our wonderful friend, the genius mentalist from Newcastle, he found this piece of prose or poetry online years ago. I think it comes from a film actually called Kung Fu Panda or something. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is the gift. And they call it the present. Thanks for having me, Jamie.
Well, there we go. What a great way to round it out. Now, of course, we will be back next week with another episode. But until then, have a great week. Goodbye.
Hello guys, I'm here to talk to you about ACCAN Unlimited. This is the best streaming platform in the world, I'm telling you now. With ACCAN Unlimited, you get access to over 150 magic routines. This is video performances and explanations. We have card magic, coin magic, kids magic, rope magic, mentalism, stage, parlor, impromptu. We've got you covered. All of this for the low price of just £4.99 a month. And you can cancel at any time. Perfect if you've got commitment issues. Yes, I'm talking to you. Guys, you are going to absolutely love it. If you haven't joined the platform already, what the heck are you doing? ACCAN Unlimited is a streaming platform that you need to be a part of. Not only that, there is also exclusive content only available on the platform. Check out now, alakazam.co.uk. Cheers.